Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. And today I have a very special episode of WLTV. I'm going to taste the same exact wine in two different vintages. I think it's very important. I think a lot of you more serious viewers might say, well, people know that the wines change dramatically from year to year. But I'm telling you, this is an under-the-radar problem that I want to shed some more light on. Too many people think that the variation in vintage can be subtle. And I'm here to tell you it's major. It probably is the single biggest aspect to the quality of wine. Now, there's great winemakers and there's great vineyards, and they fight through. But however, don't forget, this is a farming product. The weather has a major impact. Lots of things have impact. Groundhogs can come in and eat all your vineyards. Anything can happen. So, like here on WLTV. The reality is this. You need to learn now, if you're watching this video, that vintages have a huge impact. Look at California Cabs. 97, heralded as the greatest vintage. 98, nobody wanted it. Look at Bordeaux. 2004, solid, not great. 2005, the greatest since sliced bread. Vintage has a huge impact, and I want to taste these wines and see if there's a big difference to show you the subtle differences, the big differences, and that's what I'm looking to do. And here's what it is. I'm doing the vineyard called Santa Cruz, the Artuaga, which is a great producer of 100% Grenache and 80-year-old Grenache, great vineyard. I have a 2001, I also have a 2002, and what that does to me is this. 01 is widely considered sensational in Spain, 02 is considered very difficult. So let's get right into the first wine. Once again, we are doing 2001. The Santa Cruz wine has quickly become one of my favorites. This is a $35 to $45 bottle of wine. Again, 100% Grenache. Big color, big color. Big nose. Just check it out too. Big nose, coming with a lot of strawberry. Grenache always does that. A little bit of Asian spice. Very serious. Yeah, real serious, blueberry aspect to this nose, which is really nice. It's a great little flavor. Juan Carlo Lopez, the owner and winemaker of this winery, really got his start at Artadi, a very famous Spanish winery. And so he's really brought a lot of amazing skills to this project. That's a big wine. Very dry. Very dry, very complex. Heavy tannins. Big black currant. Blueberries coming through again. A little hint of cedar box. Massive wine. A little bit cherry. Little heat. I'm definitely getting the alcohol. Let me see if I can quickly sneak. 14%. I think they're lying. I bet you this is at least 15.5. They don't want to pay the taxes. This is big wine. And the heat is definitely coming through. This is a mass wine you can put away. I like this. I think it scored 91 or so Parker. I see it in that realm, maybe 90 points. Yeah. It's a big wine. This is not the kind of wine that you can easily drink all by yourself. This is definitely a steak wine. This is a big wine. All right. 2002 vintage. Same exact wine. 80-year-old vines. I guess they're 79-year-old vines. Oh no, 81-year-old vines. This is 2002. Once again, let's see what's going on here. Big color. Similar color, no doubt about it. Yeah, this is where I hate Wine Library TV. I really wish that everybody was sitting here, all 6 viewers of you, and watching this and really smelling the ridiculous difference in nose. This comes over much more vegetal, much more earthy. Smells like a mud pie. Remember making those mud pies and throwing them at your friends? It's got a lot of that, mud, dirt, rock, half worms, bugs. It's got all that, land smell. Let's call it land smell. Much more graceful, a little silky on the mid palate. Comes off almost burgundy-esque, this wine, which is interesting. Light flavors kind of disappearing, but subtle, little strawberry, little red cassis on this one. much more drinkable. I mean, how ironic is this? This is a 2002 vintage, and it's considerably more drinkable than the 2001. So putting your wine away doesn't always have the biggest impact. Sometimes it's the vintage itself. And if nothing else, on this little tasting that I did today, 2 wines, I really want to express to you that wines are totally different. I would never, ever think that these were the exact same wine. 2 different vintages, totally 2 different wines. It's like, those twins you always see. There's all these twins that are always so different. But, I mean, that's really how I look at this. The vintage has a major impact. Always remember that. If you love something in 2002, make sure you taste the bottle in 03 before you buy a case. It's not just bottle variation or all those other things. It's vintage. Vintage is huge. Remember that. Let's move on. Questions of the day. John Coyne says, among other things, my question to you is this. It seems to me when mass-produced wines receive a good rating, it is only the first released lots that qualify for the rating. Later lots, to me, aren't as good. What do you think? John, I think obviously that's a very difficult question to answer. I want to tackle this because a lot of people are talking about the Filesco Vittiano and other things. There could be severe bottle variation, but that's really on individual winery basis. A lot of times, understand this, wineries bottle their entire allotment in one shot and then just keep it in the warehouse. Maybe it's just the way the bottle evolved over the last 6 months or 8 months. Sometimes your palate changes. Don't forget how much your palate changes affects what you think of wines. It's a major aspect out there, wine library heads. I mean, it is really about your palate. Your palate evolves, and that's what you think about wine, especially year to year. It's amazing how much your palate can develop after tasting wine every night for a year. So to answer your question, I disagree. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think sometimes it can. Sometimes there's massive bottle variation in the vats or the tanks that they keep the wine in. But a lot, to most wineries, go through one bottle run, and it's just a matter of maybe your mentality, your atmosphere, or just your palate yourself. So, I don't know. I don't think so. Not as much as I think the conspiracy theory people out there want to think. Tony says, and we have a lot of Tonys, among other things, how's the heat episode coming? Tony, it's going well. Matthew says, question, you often refer to the variety of spices and flavors when viewing wine. What is the best way to acquire the sensitivity in one's palate? Matthew, I have a really good recommendation. There's a lot of mainstay flavors that I refer to and other people refer to, whether it's cassis, blackcurrant, Asian spice. I say, go to your local Wegmans, Whole Foods, ShopRite, Stop & Shop, wherever you shop, and pick up these products. Pick them up. Get them. Get the spices, get the little fruits and vegetables, bring them home and consume them. Your palate will assume that. I did that very early on when I was like 19 and 20, when I knew I was going to be into wine, and I really went out and ate cassis often. I ate, a lot of food with, different spices, chocolate. I tried to consume a lot of chocolate, and I think it helped me develop, subtle flavors. I could see the flavors in these wines so much easier now. And so cassis and currant and all those things, get out there and get there, whether it's extract or juices or just the actual product themselves. Any way you can get to get those wine flavors. And in my vocab world, that means go out, eat some tar, dig up a worm, all those things. Wet rock, we know we love that one. So get different flavors into your palate and you'll notice them in wine because now you'll be able to distinct them. The Bear says, a question for you. What is your favorite and worst, what is your best and worst Wine Library Tea episode you have done? That's a good question, DeBear. My favorite episode so far is probably episode 64. That's the one we did with the tour through the store. I think it's 64. I hope I don't get killed on this. I'm going off the top of my head. But I guess mainly because that allowed me to showcase the store, and that was a real 4 or 5 year project for me and my dad, putting the store together, and really he was really GCing it. It was a long and difficult process. So it was kind of had a smile to my face when I got to see how profound and big the store was. It brought a lot of sentimental value. So probably that one. My worst episode is probably all of them. I mean, as soon as we turn off this camera, I'm going to be pissed and be like, what, we could have done this, we could have done that. I'm really trying to put out the best content that I can, and so I'm not a big fan of any of the episodes, except 64. Finally, I have a couple of things to say. Numero uno. Lots of great discussions. I've emailed a couple of you personally. There's been a lot of great points put out there. Especially I want to shout out to the discussion about California wine being California wine, Bordeaux being Bordeaux. I love that. I'm so with you guys. I hate when people are like, well, this is not like a Chateau Latour. Of course it's not. It's from California. It's got its own time, its own thing. It should be used in its own way. And that discussion was awesome. Great job, guys. And finally, I don't want to say We'll see you next time on Wine Library TV anymore. I'm really in the mood to have a signature. Something like, this is Gary Vaynerchuk, tasting bad wine so you don't have to. Or, this is Gary Vaynerchuk, getting you drunk on knowledge. But you know what? Instead of me coming up with it, or Eric, and that was his drunk on knowledge idea, I want you to come up with it. We're running a contest. Everybody submit what my new sign-off should be on WLTV. I'll pick my favorite one, and I will use it. We'll see you next time on See you next time.